Welcome to this new summer series where I am going to be showing you how to build a teacher business step by step over the next 9 weeks. I am super excited about this summer series. Typically, I pause the podcast in the summer, but this year I thought, you know what? Teachers are out of school. This is the perfect time to actually start a teacher business. And so each week I'm going to give you a short 10-ish minute episode with actionable steps so that you can start and build your teacher business over the summer. So this is going to be for teachers, tutors, homeschool parents, anyone with a touch point with education, whether you don't have a business at all yet, or maybe you have one but you're looking for ways to grow. What to expect during this summer series. I'm going to be talking about my multiple streams of income and why I love for teachers to diversify their streams of income. My number one side hustle for teachers, and where I think pretty much any teacher, tutor, homeschool parent should begin when making extra income. We'll be talking about my story and how I got to where I am and other success stories from people that I have helped along the way, all in under 10 minutes. And if you know anything about me, I am very fluff free. I like to get to the point and I'll give you actionable steps. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then let's get this summer series started. First week is actually something that I don't do a lot, but I do think it's important. And I talked to my business manager, Emily, about this a lot, and that is mindset. And listen, I don't love to talk about mindset. I'll be completely honest. I would rather give you a step-by-step plan, and I would rather give you, these are the 3 things you need to do. And I already said I'm fluff free, but listen, I am fluff free, but I know that this is so important. And then this is the first step you have to take in order to be successful, because I am seeing this mindset misinformation so much recently. I don't know why it has ramped up, but it really has, especially on Threads. I post a lot on Threads, which is like Twitter, but on Instagram. And man, the comments that I am getting over there when I'm talking about teachers making money is not only making me a little frustrated, but it's making me know that I need to talk about this. And so that's why I want to start this summer series off with mindset shifts that you have to make in order to be successful. So if you're like, I don't want to hear about mindset, I just beg you to just give this episode a chance. I really think that it's going to change the trajectory of your teacher business. I truly believe that, because it did for me when I made this shift. Okay, so here's the shift that I'm talking about. Selling isn't selfish. And a lot of times teachers feel like they need to give everything away for free because you're asked to do so much for free outside of your contract hours already. And this also applies if you're a homeschool parent. I mean, my gosh, you're not getting paid anyway, so you're so used to giving everything away for free. Or if you're a tutor, how many times have you stayed 15 minutes extra or, helped maybe a family that wasn't able to pay? Which, listen, I am not saying that you should not be generous. In fact, generosity is one of my biggest business, things that I stand by. I'm having trouble with my words this morning, if you can't tell. But I do believe that being generous is so important, but that doesn't mean that you should give everything away for free, because you got to eat. It's okay to make money, okay? Making money is not a bad thing. In fact, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am a Christian. I talk about my faith a lot, and selling is actually biblical. I was reading in Proverbs 31. If you know anything about the Bible, there's this chapter in Proverbs 31, and it's a section of that chapter all about a biblical woman, which it doesn't say biblical because it's in the Bible, but about a faith-based woman, and it's kind of like the standard that a lot of Christian women aspire to. And in that passage of the chapter, it talks about how she buys a piece of land because she knows it's profitable. And that kind of blew me away. And actually, this is not for me. I've read that chapter so many times, and it's funny how I just kind of passed over that, because most of the time people are talking about how she gets up really early and she takes care of her kids and she makes sure that the house is, perfectly cleaned, or, all of that, which is all fine. But she's also running a business and like making sure that her business is profitable. And kudos to her and kudos to me and you, because we are going to be doing the same thing. And it doesn't just apply to women, although I do typically mostly talk to women. But if you're a man listening, this would also apply to you. I think that selling is serving. So my business coach, Ashley, she had a podcast about this, and when I listened to it recently, I was like, oh my gosh. She talks about how you're not selling poison, so stop acting like it. Stop acting like you're pulling teeth to sell something. Stop acting like, you should feel guilty about selling anything, whether it's teacher resources or a mini product like an e-course or, a book, anything that you're selling, a full course, you are creating this product to help people. And if you're not, then you shouldn't be selling it. I'm talking to the people that are creating products in order to help people, but also in order to make a profit, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to make a profit. So I want to squash the belief that teachers have to do everything for free. So I see this on threads a lot when I say, why aren't you selling on TPT? And a lot of teachers will say, well, I'd rather just give myself away for free, or I feel bad about charging other teachers. And there is a balance here, because I don't think that teachers should be spending tons of money out of their own pockets to pay for resources. And I think that that is just a systemic issue within our school system, at least here in America, that teachers have to buy resources. But it's the truth. And I do feel like teachers would gladly support another teacher financially versus supporting a textbook company that has never stepped foot in a classroom, or a workbook that doesn't align with the standards anymore. When I was a first year teacher, I had nothing. We did not have a textbook. And so I had to either figure out how to make my own stuff, which I did, or buy stuff, which I also did, or a combination of the two. And so I gladly supported other teachers and purchased their things because they were high quality. They were made by other teachers who knew what was actually going on in the classroom today, who were with kids every day, and who knew how to make those quality resources. So I don't want you to feel guilty. I don't want you to feel like you shouldn't be charging for your resources, because if you spend the time and energy to create something, you deserve to be paid. If you spend the time and energy to create something, especially something that's going to solve a problem, that's going to help people, make things easier, faster, better for another teacher, for students around the world, then you deserve to be paid. Now, this doesn't just apply to teacher resources. This applies to any type of product that you're going to create. So maybe you're going to make an e-course or an ebook or a mini course about how to grow a flourishing garden in a particular climate. That's going to help people. I would buy something like that if someone could tell me step by step how to grow a garden in North Georgia and what specific vegetables and plants would work and not work. I would buy an ebook or a mini course on that. So people will gladly pay you if you have something valuable to offer, and you are going to create something valuable. That's what we're going to be talking about this summer. What do you create? Which one do you start with? How do you make sure that it's actually helping people? But before you even start creating that product and get ready to sell it, you have to have the mindset that selling is serving. It's not selfish. Okay? So I don't know if you guys know anything about my story, but I'll just give you a quick intro, especially if you're new to this podcast and you're just listening for this summer series. I was a high school math teacher for 8 years, and I started my TPT store in 2017. But I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't get any training. I didn't, research the correct way to sell things. So I really didn't make a lot of money. But then in 2019, I got pregnant with my first baby, and I learned that I was only going to get 6 weeks of paid maternity leave. And I knew that I had to leave. I had to leave the classroom. And so I got super serious about selling my teacher resources. And within 2 years of getting serious, I had replaced my teacher income. And I have been consistently doing that for the last several years. Now, after I had created my TPT store and made it successful, then I ventured out into other digital products. I made a course, an online course. I made other lower ticket offers. I've made an ebook. I've made several mini courses, and all of those things combined have allowed me to earn $2 million in sales. It allowed me to continue to not go back to the classroom and stay home and work and stay home with my babies. I have 2 now. It allowed my husband to quit his job. So it's really been a launching pad for so much in my life. And listen, I'm not promising you any of that, but what I am wanting to show you is what is possible with selling digital products, which is what we're going to be talking about throughout the rest of the summer. It's just been incredible to see what can happen when you realize that you can sell things to other people to help them, and making a profit isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. You are going to sell with integrity. You're going to sell with the mindset that you are serving others by selling them the products that you have created to help them, and it's going to be awesome. A couple other mindset shifts I want you to make before we dive into the first type of product that I think you should create next week is treat this as a business, not just a hobby. Because when I had to treat it as a business because I was pregnant and I knew like I had to figure this out, then I grew exponentially. And when I invested in training to help me and stopped trying to DIY, my profits exploded because I spent 2 years uploading stuff to TPT just randomly, not really paying attention to what I was doing, just saying, let's see if this will work. And it didn't work because I was DIYing. I got training from multiple people. I learned as much as I could. I invested in mentors who were where I wanted to be. And when I did that, everything changed for me. And I invested before I even thought I was ready. Okay. And I really think that that is a mindset shift that you should make. Now, over the summer, obviously you are off if you're in the US. I know I have some Australian listeners, so you are on a different schedule. Maybe you are teaching year round, but maybe you have a little bit of time off over the next several weeks. I don't want you to think that you have to work. That's not my goal at all. That's why I want to keep these episodes short and to the point. But I do think it's a great time to take some action, to get some training, to invest in a mentor, to truly start thinking of this as a business. And that's a good thing. And just see where it takes you. I am so excited to spend the next several weeks with you over the summer. Every Wednesday, I'm going to give you some actionable tips, but I hope you have made some mindset shifts in this episode. Maybe listen to it again because I think it's so good. I think it's so important to make these shifts before you start even creating something. All right, I will see you guys next week.